Hi, I'm Danielle, and this is a practice to focus on your hips and your hamstrings. You'll need a yoga strap. You can also just use a belt or something like that. You'll also need 2 yoga blocks. If you don't have yoga blocks, you can do without them. It's just a couple poses we'll need them for. But you can also use a stack of books, really anything to give yourself just a little bit of height off the ground. All right, let's come to all fours, please. Place your wrists underneath your shoulders, spread your fingers nice and wide, and then separate your knees so they almost touch the side edges of your sticky mat. Bring your big toes to touch, all 10 toenails on the floor. Draw your navel in towards your spine. Inhale, get length here, even lift your gaze. And then exhale, shift your hips back to your heels. Push your palms down and forwards and use that to move your navel in and back. Keep this anchoring in your hips. Crawl your fingertips, arms forwards until you get more length in your spine. Then release your forehead, nose on the floor. Take several rounds of deep breaths here. Use this time in child's pose, in this active version of child's pose, to connect a little deeper to your breath. Press your palms down and forwards to anchor your hips back more, and then curl your fingertips a little bit longer if you can to get more length out of your spine. More space between your vertebrae. On your next inhale, return to all fours. Tuck your toes, lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. On your next inhale, step your right foot to the outside of your right hand. Come into a low lunge. If you've got blocks, you can prop your hands up on blocks here. Draw your belly in towards your spine. Stretch out through the sole of your left foot while reaching through the crown of your head. Make your left leg, your back leg nice and strong. And then spin your heel to the floor. Keep your right knee stacked over your ankle, legs nice and strong, and then walk your hands about 45 degrees to the left. Squeeze your legs in towards one another until the inseams of your legs, your inner thighs, start to tone. Keep that strength, and then crawl your arms long. Release your neck and your head until your upper body resembles downward facing dog. Your legs are just like in Warrior 2. Down dog lunge. Keep your left hand where it is now. Bring your right hand to your thigh and turn your left knee to the floor. Turn your right toes out. And then squeeze your legs in towards one another so they're nice and strong. Draw your belly in towards your spine. With your inhale, lift all the way through your torso, through your chest. And then keep that length as you exhale, turn and twist. Squeeze your legs strong. Tone your belly in. Lift up, turn. Gently release. Scoot your left foot back. Lizard variation. You can stay upright here or lower one, maybe both forearms, down to the floor. Come back to your palms. Turn your right toes forwards. Scoot your left knee in till your legs are stacked, sort of like little boxes, 90-degree angles. You can stretch here on your palms or on the blocks, or once again, lower one. Maybe both forearms down to the floor. Squeeze your legs, hips in towards one another. Draw your belly in. And as best you can, keep some length in your spine. So instead of just collapsing up here, keep your torso somewhat active. Come back onto your palms, heel toe your right foot down the center line of your mat. Place your hands shoulder width apart, fingers spread nice and wide. Tuck your left toes under, find a lunge. Make your left leg nice and strong. Keep that, step back, down dog. In down dog, press your palms down and forwards like you're trying to stretch your sticky mat long. Lift your hips up and back. Inhale, step your left foot to the outside of your hand. Low lunge. Draw your belly in. Stretch through the sole of your right foot as you lengthen the crown of your head forwards. Get more length in your spine here. Squeeze your legs strong. Tone your belly. Keep all of that. Spin your right heel to the floor. So currently your left knee is stacked over your ankle. Keep that there. Walk your hands 45 degrees to the right. Squeeze your legs in and then crawl your arms long till your upper body is like downward facing dog. From here, keep your right hand planted down. Bring your left hand to your thigh and then lower your right knee to the floor. Turn your left toes out. Squeeze your legs strong in towards one another. Draw your belly in and back. Inhale, lift up, stretch up. Keep that length. Exhale, turn and twist. Gently release. Bring your palms back to the floor. Scoot your right knee back some. Squeeze your legs in. Lengthen your spine, and you can stay here if this is plenty stretch for you, or lower your right forearm down. Then maybe lower your left forearm down. Come back to your palms. Turn your left toes forwards. Now scoot your back knee in until your legs are stacked. 90-degree angles like little boxes. Lengthen your spine here. You can stay upright or lower your right forearm, then your left forearm. Come back to your palms. Scoot your left foot down the center line of your mat. Plant your hands firmly down, and then tuck your right toes, low lunge. Make your right leg nice and strong. Make your spine long. And then keep that step back, down dog. Breathe in fully. Breathe out completely. With your next inhale, step your right foot to the outside of your hand. Lower your left knee down. Turn your right toes out. Bring your left hand off to the side of your sticky mat. Right hand on your thigh. We'll take twisted monkey once again here. We'll take it a little further if you like. Squeeze your legs in to make them nice and strong. Tone your belly. Inhale, lift all the way through your chest. Keep that length. Exhale, turn and twist. Squeeze your legs strong so your foundation, your legs can support you as you lift all the way from your navel out through the front of your body, through your sternum up towards the ceiling. Then even squeeze your shoulder blades towards one another and move them down towards your hips. Get a little bit of a back bend here as you lift and twist. Now you can stay here or reach your right arm back at a quad stretch. Bend your leg, grab onto the outside of your foot. From here, let go of the depth in your lunge, shift your hips back until you can close the gap in your knee joint and connect your heel to your hip. Then from here, open your fingers up, lift your elbow towards the ceiling, and then spin your fingers forwards until you can hold onto the tops of your toes. From here, keeping this connection of your heel to your hip and a nice grip on your toes, sit down deeper into your lunge. Keep the work of squeezing your legs in, lift your chest, turn and bend. And then release. Bring your right foot down the center line of your mat. Shift your weight back. If you've got blocks, you can grab a couple of blocks for a little more height. We'll take a half Hanuman here. Plant your fingers up on the blocks. Get your spine nice and upright. Drive your right heel down into the floor and then isometrically, just a bit, drag it back towards your hips until the back of your leg starts to tone. Inhale, lift and lengthen through your spine. Draw your belly in as you exhale, fold. You can place your fingertips on the floor. Do that or leave them on your blocks. Draw your belly in. Draw the heel of your right foot back isometrically. On your next inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, walk your hands back. Turn your left shin so it's parallel to the short edge of your sticky mat and sit down onto your hips. Take your right leg, cross it over your left. We'll take a twist here. Inhale, stretch your left arm up. Exhale, hook your elbow. Inhale, get length. And then exhale, turn and twist. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, gently release. Crawl your hands towards the front of your mat. Step back, down dog. Let's do all of that on the second side. Step your left foot to the outside of your hand. Lower your right knee down to the floor. Turn your left toes out and bring your right hand off to the side of your sticky mat, a couple inches off to the side. Squeeze your legs strong. Inhale, lift your chest, and then exhale, turn and twist. Squeeze your shoulder blades onto your back and then move them down so you get a little bit of a back bend in your upper back as you twist. You can stay here or reach your left hand back with your thumb pointing up. Bend your leg, grab the outside of your foot. This might be plenty of a stretch, in which case you can also stop here, or shift your hips back until you can close the gap and connect your heel close to or to your hip. Then lift your left elbow up, reach it towards the ceiling and rotate your fingers forwards. Once you get a good grip on your foot, squeeze your legs strong and then sit down. Squeeze your elbows shoulder blades towards one another and down your back as you lift your chest and turn. And then release. Heel toe your left foot towards the middle of your mat. Shift your hips back. If you've got blocks, grab your blocks. Inhale, lengthen here. Keep your left leg active by driving your heel down, dragging it back towards your hips. Keep that length, and then as you exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, gently release. Turn your right shin so it's parallel to the short edge of your mat, and then sit down. Cross your left leg all the way over your right. Stretch your right arm up, and then exhale, hook your elbow. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, turn and twist. Inhale, get length. Exhale, gently release. Crawl your hands forwards, step back, down dog. In down dog, take a moment to check in with your hands and notice where you automatically placed them. Make sure that your hands are shoulder width apart, even a little bit wider. Wrist creases more or less parallel to the short edge of your sticky mat, and spread your fingers nice and wide. Then separate your feet wide so your pinky toes touch the side edges of your sticky mat. Lift your heels high up off the floor, so like you're standing on your toes or the balls of your feet. And then bend your knees. Make your legs nice and strong, like they're spring-loaded here. Squeeze your legs in towards one another until the inseams of your legs start to fire. Your legs should be working a lot here. Press your palms down and forwards like you're trying to stretch your sticky mat long. And use that action of pressing down and forwards to lengthen through your spine and even move your chest towards your knees. Draw your belly in and back. Lift your hips up and away, even while keeping your knees bent here. Squeeze your legs strong. Tone your belly. Push your palms down and forwards. And then as you lift now your hips up and back, straighten your legs any amount. Keep all of that work. Squeeze your legs strong, draw your belly in, push your palms down and forwards, lift your hips up and back, and keep lifting your hips up and back as you slowly stretch your heels down to the floor. All right, come back to a regular stance in down dog, hip width apart. Slowly walk your hands all the way to the back of your mat. Fold for a few moments here. Bend your knees. Squeeze your legs strong so the inseams of your legs start to fire. Tone your belly, and with an inhale, lengthen your spine, Ardha Uttanasana. You can keep your fingertips down on the floor with your knees bent. That's great. Keeping your spine long and your legs strong, bring your hands to your hips. Roll your shoulders on your back. Lift your chin. And inhale, stand all the way up. Heel toe your feet together. Bring your arms by your sides. Tadasana. Grab your block and place it between your shins. Come to stand in the middle of your mat. Drive your feet down into the floor so that your legs start to tone here, and then squeeze the block with your legs. Don't squeeze so much that you're shaking and gripping, but enough that there's tone that comes to your muscles. Inhale, stretch your arms up. You can either grab the outside of your left upper arm or join your palms, interlace your fingers, extend the first two, and then stretch your arms straight. Squeeze the block. Draw your belly in. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, crescent pose. Keep squeezing the block just like you did in down dog. Squeeze the legs towards one another. Move your hips to the left. Stretch your upper body to the right. Get a big opening in the left side of your body. Squeeze your legs in. Tone your belly and reach, 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 stretch. Then square your shoulders towards the front of the room. Turn your bottom shoulder, your right shoulder forwards. And then square your hips towards the front of the room. Bring your left hip forwards until both hips are square, both shoulders are square. Inhale, stretch up, lift up. Exhale, release. Second side, stretch up. You can either grab the outside of your upper arm bone or join your palms, interlace your fingers, extend the first two, stretch your arms straight. Squeeze the block, anchor your feet down to the floor. Draw your belly in towards your spine, stretch up, reach up. Exhale, second side. Anchor your legs down, squeeze them in. Same as we just did in downward facing dog. Squeeze the inner lines of the legs towards one another. Stretch your hips to the right, upper body up and over to the left. Then square your shoulders, bring your left shoulder blade forwards. Bring your right hip now forwards. Square your hips, square your shoulders. Inhale, come up. Exhale, release. Remove the block, set it off to the side. Tree pose. Stand on your left leg, bring your right leg up into your tree. Start with your hands on your hips for a moment. Anchor the standing leg, your left leg, down to the floor and hug all the muscles around the bones so much that your kneecap sort of lifts up and your quadricep gets strong. Then draw your belly in. Notice if your right hip, the sort of tree leg here, notice if your right hip is lifted up. If it is, lower it down some until both hips are level. As you do that, notice if your left hip starts to compensate. So find a balance in that. Keeping your right hip lowered, but your left hip strong. One thing you can do to help with that is to squeeze your foot and your thigh in towards one another. To push your foot and your thigh in. That'll bring more stability to your legs. And as you push your foot and your thigh in towards one another, tone your right glute. Make your right glute nice and strong, and that will even help to open your knee and to externally rotate your leg some. All right, stretch your arms up. Keep them separate or join your palms, interlace your fingers, stretch your arms straight. All right, inhale, get length in your spine. Keep that length, keep that lift in your chest, and exhale. Reach your arms out to the sides and stand on 2 feet, Tadasana. Second side. Bring your left foot now into your tree. Hands to your hips. Make your standing legs strong. Hug all the muscles to the bones. Even lift your right kneecap up so that your quadricep gets strong. Then take a moment to notice your position here. If your left hip is lifted, which it often is for many of us, lower it down some until it's more in line with the right. As you lower your left hip down now, notice if your right hip starts to move out to the side. Compact your hips, bring your right hip in, keep your left hip low. Squeeze your thigh and your foot in towards one another. That action right there will bring a lot of stability into your legs. Squeeze your legs in and then tone your left glute. Tone your left glute so that your left knee moves more to the side, even towards the back plane of your body some. Not to the back plane, but towards the back plane. All right, keep your strong legs. Keep your core nice and strong. Stretch up. Join your palms, interlace your fingers, reach up. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, slowly release. Stand on 2 feet. Tadasana. All right, from here, let's take a standing figure 4. Take your right leg and with your foot flexed, cross your ankle over your left thigh. Bend your left leg so that you have a shelf to rest your leg onto. Bend your left leg and sit down low, and then cross your wrists over one another. Place them on your inner thighs. And then use your hands to push your thighs back and then even widen them apart. With your right foot, imagine that there's a wall there that you're pushing your foot into. Keep your belly strong and engaged. Sit down low, and the lower you sit into your standing leg, the more of a stretch you'll feel to your outer right hip. You can stay here or even fold a little bit more. Place your fingertips down on the floor. Keep that action of pushing your right foot in. You can even place your left hand there and push your foot into your hand. And that'll tone your outer hip even as you stretch it. You can stay here or then take a standing baby cradle, take it one step further. Bring your left arm around your right foot, your right arm around your knee, sort of hug, cradle your lower leg, and then stand up. Keep that right foot flexed. Keep your standing leg strong, core engaged, lift up. Ooh. And then gently, slowly release. Grab onto your foot and use your arm to guide your foot back down to the floor. Stand up. Second side. Take your left leg, cross it over your right. Flex your left ankle. And then bend your standing leg. Take your hands, cross at your wrists, and place your hands on the inner thighs. Move your inner thighs back and then widen them apart, broaden them out to the sides. Again, the more you bend your standing leg, the more of a stretch you'll feel in your outer hip. And then with your left foot, keep it flexed and imagine there's a wall there that you're pushing your foot into. Stay here or bring your fingertips to the floor. If you've got blocks, you can also prop yourself up on those blocks. Stay here or now reach down and wrap your arms around your lower left leg. Slowly stand up. And then with control, lower your leg down. And then take your left hand to the outside of your foot and use your arm to gently lower your leg back down to the floor. And that will just be one way to give your hips a little bit of a break. Shift your hips back and forth. And then slowly stand up. All right, triangle pose. If you want to use blocks for this, set them on either side of your mat just so they're handy for you. And then step your feet wide. Turn your right toes out. Keep your left toes pointed forwards and make sure that your feet are pretty wide so that your wrists are over your ankles. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, Trikonasana. You can place your hand on your shin or use your blocks. Make your legs strong, tone your belly, and then turn your torso towards the front. For today, take a little bit different variation of the arms to get a little more stretch through the side and through this outer hip here. Bring your left hand to your ear, and then anchor your left foot firmly down into the floor all the way through the outer edge of your pinky toe. From that anchoring, lengthen all through the leg, through the side waist, through the arm as you stretch your left fingertips long so that your bicep just touches your face and your arm is pretty parallel to the floor. Squeeze your legs strong, draw your belly in, turn your torso open, even look past your bicep towards the ceiling. All right, from here, inhale, slowly stand up. Turn your right toes in. Turn your left leg all the way out. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, Trikonasana. Plant your hand wherever you're gonna plant it. Bring your right hand to your hip. Draw your belly in, make your core nice and strong. Drive your legs down to make your legs firm. Then, turn your torso towards the front. Especially anchor the outer edge of your right foot down. So the back leg is nice and strong and firmly anchored, rooted into your mat. Then bring your right hand to your ear and then slowly stretch it long, long, long until your arm is parallel to the floor. Make your legs strong, draw your belly in, and then keep turning your torso open to the side. Even shift your gaze towards the ceiling. Look down towards your foot. Inhale, slowly stand up. Heel toe your feet together. Stand in Tadasana. All right, take your two blocks, place them about shoulder width apart, and then stand with a pretty wide stance, Prasarita Padottanasana. Make your legs strong here. Inhale, get your spine long. And then keep this length in your spine as you fold at your hips. Place your hands on the blocks. Push your palms down into the blocks until your arms are straight. Draw your belly in, and then lengthen your spine here. If you can keep your spine long with your palms down on the floor, this is also an option. But if when you put your palms down, your spine rounds, then you can either do this with strong legs, hands on your hips, or give yourself some height. Squeeze your legs in towards one another, just like you did in downward facing dog. And then move your thigh bones back to straighten your legs some. They don't have to be 100% straight by any means, but do get them to work hard so they're nice and firm. Draw your belly in, and then drag the heels of your hands back towards your feet, towards your hips rather, and then stretch your sternum long, even lift your gaze. Get length in your spine, even a little bit of a back bend in your upper back. Squeeze your shoulder blades onto your back. Draw the heels of your hands back, stretch your sternum forwards. You can stay here if this is plenty stretch, or keep this work in your legs, keep the length in your spine, and then bend your elbows, start to fold forwards. Walk your hands back so they're in line with your feet. Fingers spread nice and wide, wrist creases parallel, more or less. And then push your hands now down and forwards to lengthen the crown of your head towards or maybe even to the floor. If your head is pretty close but not quite touching the floor, you can widen your stance some. If your head easily touches, then shorten your stance some. Keep your legs squeezing strong. Draw your belly in and fold. From here, keep your hands where they are, lengthen your spine, straighten your arms, get a stretch in your wrists. Then, with a long spine, strong belly, strong legs, bring your hands to your hips. Inhale, stand up. Heel toe your feet together. Bring your arms by your sides. All right, move your blocks off to the side. Downward facing dog. Check in with your hands, make sure that they're placed nicely, fingers spread nice and wide, wrist creases more or less parallel. And then separate your feet wide until your pinky toes touch the side edges of your sticky mat. Let's do all that downward facing dog work again. Lift your heels high off the floor. And then bend your knees here. And bending your knees is going to give you a little more access to move your spine freely. Bend your knees and then squeeze your legs in towards one another as if there was a block there. Remember all the way back to crescent pose when we had that block between your legs? Squeeze your legs like that block was still there. Then draw your belly in and get your spine to move a little bit and get a little more length. Press your palms down and forwards. Lift your hips away from that to get more space between your vertebrae. Squeeze your legs strong. Draw your belly in. Push your palms down and forwards. And now straighten your legs some to lift your hips up and back. Keep squeezing your legs strong. Keep that work in your core. And then keep all of this length in your spine that you've got. Don't lose any of it as you slowly stretch your heels down to the floor. Maybe you can get them a little bit closer to the floor now than you could in the beginning of class. All right, gently release. Come onto your knees. So this next little sequence that we'll do is a little bit of what my teacher calls calf smashing. So we're gonna work on the back chain of the legs to sort of squish down and sort of release some of the tightness, some of the fascia that we have in the back. So I'll show you from behind here. You're gonna sort of sickle your feet in, sort of turn them in, and then take the top of your right foot there's a little bone here. You're gonna take that bone and place it right in the sole of your left foot, right up in that arch, and then sit back. You can adjust this here some until you really feel that the bone of your right foot is really getting into that arch of your left. It might be very intense, the backs of our legs for many of us, especially if we're hikers, mountain bikers, if we're just active people outside of the yoga mat. The hamstrings and backs of the legs can get really tight. So you can shift your weight forward some to take the weight off. You can use some blocks. Just don't get so tight and bunchy here. You can use blocks gently to take some of the weight off. And you can also kind of move your right knee back and forth, sort of like you're giving the arch of your left foot a massage. All right, then switch. So now we're going to take the the bone of the left foot and place it in the arch of the right. Squeeze your knees towards one another and then sit back. And sometimes you might not get it quite in the right spot the first go, so make any adjustments that you need to until you can feel sort of like it should hurt so good. Shouldn't be really painful or sharp in any way, but it likely will not be very comfortable. It's like a very deep tissue massage. All right, then get a stretch to the soles of your feet, so curl your toes under, and then even shift your knees back to really open the soles, the arches of your feet that you just massaged. All right, so the next one, we're gonna do something similar, but we're gonna move up the leg. So you're gonna take the shin bone here, this bony bone right here in the front of your shin, and you're gonna place it right at sort of the meaty part of your calf. So right where your calf muscle starts to get more narrow, you're gonna aim your right shin bone right down here. So kind of make a little cross here, find that spot, and then squeeze your legs towards one another, sit back. Again, if you don't quite get it the first time, you can shift until you can find that sweet spot where it hurts so good. Again, you can place your hands in front of you, use your blocks some to take some of the intensity off, sort of dial down the volume knob. All right, release that. Second side, cross your left shin bone over your right calf. Squeeze your legs, sit back. Come back to your knees, tuck your toes under. Vajrasana. Get a good stretch to the back of your legs now. All right, so the last version we're gonna do is again using the shin bone. And this time, instead of going the bottom part of the calf where it starts to narrow, we're gonna go right in the meaty part. And the idea, your calf muscle your calf is made of two muscles here, kind of splits right down the middle. And the idea is to kind of bifurcate those and kind of squish them apart so you get right up in that meaty part. So whereas the first time we were down here, we're just gonna move it up a few inches, squish the calf down, and then sit back. And this one, especially if you have larger calves, it just maybe takes a little more finagling to find the right spot. Release. And then last one, take the left shin bone, kind of split the right calf muscle as best you can. And I'll turn to the side for this one. Sit back. And if you're curious about this and want to know a little bit more about this calf smashing, and how it can help open your hamstrings, the backs of your legs. I'll put a link to, my teacher has a little video about this particular sequence, and I'll put a link to that in the comments so you can learn a little bit more if you like. Okay, then tuck your toes under, move your knees back some, sit upright Vajrasana. You should get a stretch to the soles of the feet, to your Achilles, and up into your calf muscles. All right, and then one last time, let's do that work in downward facing dog. Come onto all fours. Plant your hands nicely here, and then tuck your toes, lift your hips up and back. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Separate your feet wide. Lift your heels high, bend your knees. Squeeze your legs strong. Push your palms down and forwards, lift your hips up and away. Squeeze your legs, tone your belly. Push your palms down and forwards, lift your hips up and back, and then keep lifting them up, straighten your legs any amount. Keep this length in your spine, don't lose any of it, and then stretch slowly. Stretch your heels down, reach them to or towards your mat. And notice here, if you've gotten any more connection with your heels down. Notice if that work in the calf smashing yielded any sort of gains. And then bring your feet back, hip width apart, downward facing dog. Lower your knees down. Separate your knees wide. Bring your big toes to touch. Rest in child's pose. And then come on up. Stand on your knees. All right, we're going to do a kneeling crescent here. Step your right foot forwards. So you're stacked in like a box. So 90 degrees at your front leg, 90 degrees at your back leg. Tuck your left toes under. And then really draw your belly in, your low ribs in, until you get strong and even a little bit shorter here in the front of your body. Move the flush of your buttocks down. Lift your hip bones and your ribs in towards one another. Not so that you're rounded, but not so that your low back is bending like so, but so that you're strong and supported all through the core here. We're going to try and access the front of the left hip some. So lift your hip bones, low ribs together, stretch your left arm up, and then like crescent pose, shift your upper body to the right. Draw your belly, low ribs in, and lengthen the side of your waist out of your hip as you stretch your left fingertips to the side. Keep moving the flesh of your buttocks down, almost like there's a loop here from your buttocks through the lift of the pelvis. Then inhale, stretch up. Exhale, release. Switch sides. With your left foot forwards, draw your belly, low ribs in, lift your hip bones up, almost like you could shorten this distance here. Move the flesh of your buttocks down, nice and strong in your core, and then with an inhale, stretch your right arm up. Exhale, crescent to the side. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, release. Sit down. Stretch your legs long in front of you. Bend your knees and grab the backs of your knees and pull your legs in to touch the soles of your feet together. Baddha Konasana. Place your hands by your hips, lift your hips up, and then just a little bit shift your, kind of stick your butt out so that you're more in the front of your sitting bones. Just so you can get some more support and lift in your low back. So that you're not rounded like so, but you're nice and upright. Strong and stable all through the front and back of your core. If you're a little more tight in your hips or hamstrings, you can put a blanket behind underneath your hips here to give yourself a little more height. With your fingertips behind your hips, lift your chest, and for this one you can use your arms for a little bit of support here to keep your spine lifted. Push the soles, outer edges of your feet in towards one another, and then stretch out through the inseams of your legs all the way out through your inner knees. Tone your glutes. So this here is very much like tree pose, if you can remember all the way back to that a while ago. Squeeze your legs in towards one another, tone your glutes, and then stretch from your inner thigh all the way out through your inner knee. Release that. Take one of your blocks. Again, an Nalgene water bottle, some books work just fine. Separate your feet. Place your block on the most narrow width in between the soles of your feet. Pull your feet in as best you can, but you're definitely gonna have a little bit more space between your hips and your feet with this block here. Bring your hands back by your hips, lift up, stretch up, get strong in your core and length all through your torso, and then now push your feet into the block. Stretch from your inner thighs out through your inner knees and tone your outer glutes. Release that. Separate your feet. And now turn the block so it's on the medium width. Your feet are going to come out a little more from your hips to accommodate this extra width. Then place the soles of your feet on the block. Bring your hands by your hips. Lift up, stretch up. Push your feet into the blocks. Stretch from your inner knees out. Stretch from your inner thighs out through your inner knees. Tone your glutes. Release that. Separate your feet and now turn the block so it's on the widest stance. Place the soles of your feet as best you can on the blocks. If you have 2 blocks, you can use them in front of one another so that you can push your feet in. But even without that, just get it so you get a nice grip of your feet on the blocks as best you can. Lift your hips up, shift forwards some. Sit up nice and tall. Push your feet into the blocks. Stretch from your inner thighs through your inner knees. Tone your outer glutes. So you're stretching from here out and then sort of pulling up and back. All right, release, set your block off to the side, and we're gonna come to the first version. So bring the soles of your feet together and bring your feet in as close to your hips as you can reasonably manage. Plant your hands down, lift your hips, shift them back some, sit upright, push the soles of your feet in, stretch your knees out. And see now, can you get your knees any closer to the floor? Not by pushing them down, but by that action of moving, stretching from your inner thigh out through your inner knee, and then pulling up into your glutes. And then release. Grab the outsides of your knees, fold them in like a book. And give yourself a little hug here. Maybe shift your hips side to side, whatever feels nice. All right. From here, stretch your feet out a little bit further away from your hips. And then cross your right ankle over your left thigh. Flex your foot. With your fingertips, prop yourself up and lift your chest. You can stay here, or to get a little more stretch to your right hip, lift your hips up and shift them forwards. Go about as far as is comfortable for you, as far as you can maintain some lift in your chest and a good strong flex in your foot. Then, just like we did when we were standing in that figure 4, imagine there's a wall and the sole of your foot, sort of like we just had the blocks there. Imagine there's a wall there and you could push the sole of your foot into that wall. You can stay here or take it one step further, fold your legs so that your shins stack on top of one another and both feet are flexed. Looks sort of like so from the front. Stay upright or go even further, walk your hands forwards. Once you start to fold, take your hands on the balls of your feet and then push your palms into your feet and your feet back into that so you get that nice strong action of pushing into that imaginary wall. Then keep that action, walk your hands forwards and fold. So anywhere along this progression from sitting more upright to folding down is a great place to be. And come on up. Stretch your legs long. And let's do the second side. So bring your feet out in front of your hips. Prop yourself up on your fingertips, lift your chest, then cross your left ankle over your right thigh. Lift your chest, get nice and tall here. You can stay here or lift your hips, shift them forwards. Wherever you are, push the sole of your foot into that imaginary wall. Keep your chest nice and lifted. Stay here or fold your legs so that your shins stack. Going on, fold until you can place your hands on the balls of your feet. Press the balls of your feet and your palms in towards one another to get that nice strong action that starts to engage your hips while you stretch them. Then fold to your capacity. Maybe curl your hands in front of you or just rest your forearms down on the floor. Slowly release, come back upright. Extend your legs long in front of you. Upavista Konasana. Separate your legs wide, sort of like a center splits here. Flex your feet and dig your heels down into the floor. Then bring your hands back behind your hips. Lift your hips and shift them forwards so that you can sit nice and upright on your sitting bones, and you start to get a stretch to your inner thighs. Let's take a side stretch here. Take your right hand off to the side. Bring your left hand by your ear. And remember, all the way back to triangle pose. Make your legs nice and strong. Draw your belly in. And then stretch your left arm long. Reach to the side, even curl your right fingertips out even further. And get a stretch all from your left hip all the way through the left side of your body. Shift your gaze, look past your left bicep. Inhale, come up. Exhale, release. Bring your left hand off to the side, right hand by your ear. Make your legs strong, tone your belly, turn towards the front, and then stretch your right arm long. Curl your left fingertips longer to deepen the stretch. Anchor your legs down, make them nice and strong, and reach from your right hip all the way through the right side of your torso. Inhale slowly, come on up. Grab the backs of your knees, pull your legs in. Give yourself a little bit of a hug. All right, from here, we're gonna come to our backs. Make sure that you have your strap handy next to you. We won't need it quite yet, but we'll need it in just a moment. Squeeze your legs in, give yourself a hug. Do a little side to side action here. Set your feet on the floor, cross your right leg all the way over your left. Make your arms like cactuses. Lift your hips and shift them to the right just a few inches so that you can clear some space to lower your knees to the left. Stay here or dig your left elbow into the floor. Lift your shoulders up and then turn them towards the ceiling to get a little bit more depth in this twist. Finally, shift your gaze to the right. Come back up. Release. Reset your hips. Second side, cross your left thigh all the way over your right. Bring your arms like cactuses. Lift and shift your hips to the left. Lower your knees to the right. Dig your right elbow into the floor. Lift your shoulders up and then turn them towards the ceiling and then set them back down. Shift your gaze to the left. Slowly release. Uncross your legs, reset your hips. Grab your strap. Take the ball of your right foot, place it right in the strap, and then stretch your right leg long. It doesn't have to be totally straight, but stretch your right leg up towards the ceiling so that the sole of your foot is open towards the ceiling. Then walk your hands up the strap until your arms are straight. So you're not wrapping onto the strap, pulling on it like so, but you're just using the weight of your head, neck, and shoulders to help influence the stretch here. Press the ball of your foot firmly into the strap, like you're stepping on a gas pedal. Then with your left leg, stretch it long. If when you stretch your leg long, you feel any crunching in your low back, your neck, then just place your foot flat on the floor, and that's absolutely fine. If your hamstrings are feeling particularly open, you can remove the strap, take your first 2 fingers, wrap them around your big toe, and then wherever you are, place your left hand on the top of your left thigh. Supta Padangusthasana. However, I'm going to continue to show you with the strap. Take several more deep breaths here. Push the ball of your right foot into your strap and then move your right thigh bone back away from your face to get some tone to come to your right leg. And then match that tone with your left leg. Move your left thigh bone now down towards the floor. Okay, from here, take both ends of the strap in your right hand. Take your left arm out to the side. Continue the work to push the ball of your foot into the strap to move your thigh bones back and then stretch your right leg out to the side. Only go as far as you can keep your left hip, left thigh bone anchored down. Once that starts to lift up, then bring your leg back, just hoist it up until you can keep this anchored. Stretch evenly through the soles of both feet, through the balls of both feet rather. Keep both legs active, even draw your belly in, and then turn your torso up towards the ceiling. On your next inhale, bring your leg back up. Exhale, grab the strap with both hands. Inhale fully. And then as you exhale, tone your belly, scoop the front of your body out, reach your forehead towards your knee, stretch your elbows out to the side, pull your leg towards your face. Tone your belly, reach, touch your forehead to your knee if you can. And then with your next exhale, slowly lower your head, neck, and shoulders down. Take your leg with you any amount. Try and keep as much of that depth as you just gained. And then gently release. Stretch both legs long. Take a moment to notice, check in. Just observe what you feel. Let's do the second side. Place both feet on the floor. Wrap the strap around the ball of your left foot. Press the ball of your left foot into the strap. Move your left thigh bone back until your left leg gets straighter, stronger. Then keep your right leg where it is or extend it long. Again, if you've got your 2 first fingers around the big toe, your right arm is free then to rest or to stretch on top of your right thigh. Wherever you are, make your legs strong. Stretch through the balls of your feet, move your thigh bones back so that your left thigh bone moves away from your face, your right thigh bone moves down towards the floor. Then, take both ends of the strap in your left hand, reach your right arm out to the side. Tone your belly, anchor the right hip, right thigh bone down, and then stretch your left leg to the left. Keep reaching out through your legs. Tone your belly. Keep your thigh bones active, or the muscles, rather, around your thigh bone active. Draw your belly in towards your spine and then turn your torso up towards the ceiling to help counterweight your leg. Inhale back to center. Hold the strap with both hands. Inhale fully here. And now exhale, scoop your belly. Reach your elbows out to the sides, forehead towards or even to your knee. Keep your right leg active. Keep your left leg strong. Reach, stretch, stretch. Then slowly bring your head, neck, and shoulders down. Take your leg with you any amount. Maintain any amount of that depth that you gained. And then gently release. Stretch your legs long. Set your strap off to the side. Place both feet flat on the floor. We'll take a bridge pose here. Dig your elbows by your sides with your palms facing one another. Drive your feet down to the floor. Lift your hips up. You can stay here or grab the outer edges of your sticky mat. Walk onto your outer shoulders and then sort of rip the mat apart. Use that to activate your upper back and your shoulders to get more lift there through your chest. Lift your hips. You can stay here or interlace your hands behind your back and then once again walk a little more to your outer shoulders. Lift your chest. Lift your hips. Lift your chest. Release. Separate your feet, turn your knees in towards one another. We'll do one more back bend here. You can take bridge pose again or Chatushpadasana. Bend your knees towards your chest and then grab onto the fronts of your ankles. So getting into this pose is going to be kind of the tricky part. Place your feet down. And then lift your hips about only as much as you need to lower your head, neck, and shoulders back down. Really do the good work to keep the grip around the fronts of your ankles. So your hips might be lifted, your heels might be lifted, that's okay. From here, keeping that grip firmly around the fronts of your ankles, drive your feet down, lift your hips up. Then one at a time, walk onto your outer shoulders. Drive your feet down, lift your hips up, lift your chest. Pull your ankles back as if you could compress the back of your spine, as if you could shorten that distance. Drive your feet down, lift your hips, lift your chest. Slowly release. Stretch your legs long. Bend your knees, set your feet flat on the floor, and then separate your feet wide so your pinky toes touch the side edges of your sticky mat. Bring your arms up like cactuses. Let your knees fall to the left. Take the sole of your left foot and place it on your right thigh, and then push your foot and your thigh in towards one another until your right hip pulls back some and you get a tone in the front of your hip. Keep that tone. Draw your belly in and then tone your right glute and stretch your right knee long. Use your left foot to help influence that stretch as if you could lengthen your thigh bone, as if you could increase the length of your femur bone all the way from your right hip through your right knee. That should bring a good stretch to the front of your right hip while maintaining some tone. Then stretch your arms overhead. With your left hand, grab your right wrist and gently pull. Continue the stretch from your right knee through your right hip, through your right side waist, all through the right side of your body, through your right armpit, out through your fingertips. And then release. Set your feet flat on the floor, pretty wide. Reset. Lower your knees to the right. Take the sole of your right foot and place it on top of your left thigh, and then push your thigh and your foot in towards one another. And that action will pull your left hip back some and will tone the front of your left hip. Keep that tone, draw your navel in, tone your left glute, and then stretch through your left knee while keeping the tone to the front of your hip. With your right foot, push into your thigh and then stretch the skin of your leg down towards your knee to get that same sort of action of lengthening your femur bone, even though you actually can't lengthen your femur bone. Stretch your arms overhead. With your right hand now, grab your left wrist and stretch. So the stretch here runs all through the left knee, through the left hip, through the left side of the body. Get nice and long. And then release. With your feet wide, turn your knees into touch and rest your hands on your torso. Allow your eyes to close here and take this opportunity to begin to transition towards your final rest. Take a few moments to connect inwards, to observe, to notice your breath. Watch your chest rise and fall. Watch your belly respond to your breath. You can stay here and rest in your Shavasana in this position. Or whenever you're ready, gently extend your legs long onto the floor. Relax your arms by your sides with your palms facing up. As your body relaxes and settles into this position, allow your breath to do the same. I'll leave you resting here, but do take 5 minutes or more, as much time as you need, to simply rest. Namaste.